short clip by Bishop Dag Heward-Mills Ministries. Discover how God can change your life forever.
The call of God has been misrepresented to a lot of people. You think that it's some glory, some you become famous, you have a big car, and you will be this and that, and it's been misrepresented. You don't know it's to suffer. It's to work. That's right. It's not to work for 3 years, pastors. It's not to be a lay minister for 6 years and then you stop. And you don't go to church anymore. Sometimes you come, sometimes you don't come. You see them. And you form a bad example to Christians who are in the church. And they say, oh, but this was my pastor or my lady pastor. And now he doesn't come. Now she doesn't come. And you see a bad example. That's why I'm preaching to you. I said, don't follow bad examples. Some of the pastors are backsliding. Some of them are really backsliding. They were cited to be appointed. They would come for homecoming. They would come for this. If you call them, they will not come now. Last you've come to sit here, they will not come. It's like, oh, this and that and that. When it goes to 120 reasons, we have heard it 120 reasons. That's why the Lord asked me, how old? What age? How old was he when he died? How old was he? What year did he die? What year did you meet him? How old was he? And he had not changed it. So when we look at ourselves, we realize that we are all looking, even as we come here, our mouths and our beaks are open to hear something strange and something different. Meanwhile, I can say that one spirit that has also entered Lighthouse is a spirit of non-evangelism, which is a spirit of backsliding. I'm telling you. Non-evangelism. Yeah. Because evangelism is the key to life for a pastor and for a church. Once the church loses its real aim of winning people to God, it changes. It becomes social fulfillment. So when God calls you to be a church, it's not calling you to have a center for funerals. But if you go to the Kwapim Mountains and many churches, there are centers for funerals. Do you think God was calling somebody to create a center for funerals? A center for weddings, a center for celebrations, a center for prosperity teachings, a center for motivational speeches. Gimba is there for that. And if it is a place for funerals, we can build a funeral home with a hall. I've been to funerals in America. They have halls. You can do everything there with the coffin. You finish everything there. And then after that, you go and bury. You don't need to have a church for funerals. You don't need to have a church. But many, you see, and that is what gave birth to new churches. Because the old church, honestly, when I hear the sound of a pipe organ, and the sound of some of the beautiful and majestic hymns of the Anglican Church, Methodist Church, and so on, the first thing that comes to me is funerals. That's the feeling I get. We are in a funeral, so there's a bad thing that has happened. This is the only thing church was associated with. God was not trying to call one priest to create a center. There shall be a center. Many dead bodies will be here. Many coffins will come by. There will be many tears here, and all people here will be comforted in this room. It's not a calling. So that's why I said that when I call you, and you must think maybe it's about to give you my servant. You say maybe it's to get food or water or something that I usually call about. Or if you work for me in another way, it is one or two things. That is the reason why I'm calling you. And if God is calling, at least one or two, these are not callings. Don't attribute it to God. If you talk about prosperity, education, God doesn't call us. He's not calling you to become an educationist. To campaign for education. I really wonder, as we have shifted from evangelism to education. The investment of the church is in education and in universities rather than in evangelism. The heavy investment and the heavy meetings and time and issues that are presented and pushed by the church. The agenda is education and not evangelism, not soul winning. You don't understand it. This, I want you to believe me. Because it's a key for you to stay with God and not to shift out of the right way that God has called you to. Amen.